It's the last weekend at Progressive Field, and the Indians welcome in the red-hot Boston Red Sox. Francisco Lindor has 3 days left to make his case for Rookie of the Year, and Josh Tomlin gets one last chance to make a final impression for the 2016 rotation. Tribe takes on the newest member of the 500 Home Run Club, next on Sports Time Ohio. It's another cool, chilly, windy evening in downtown Cleveland as the Indians take on the Boston Red Sox. It's the final series of the season for Cleveland. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Boston comes in playing very good baseball. They've won 6 out of their last 7, and in those 7 games, their starting pitchers have allowed a total of just 11 runs.
And I think that's the key for the Red Sox. If they could get starting pitching, they didn't have it earlier. But when you look at in the last month and a half, a 28-17 record, well, it helps when you're getting just under 6 runs a ball game. They've been hitting the ball very well. The home run has been there, but they are hitting with runners in scoring position. But I like that bottom line. The starters, ERA 3.19. They're giving them a chance and an opportunity to win games, and the offense has responded.
Josh Tomlin will get the start for the Tribe tonight, coming off his shortest start of the season. It's only the 3rd time in 9 starts that he's failed to go at least 6 innings this year.
Well, and Josh Tomlin healthy again this year, and he's come on like gangbusters. He's been ahead of all the hitters. He's pitched only 6 walks on the season, and Josh Tomlin finally healthy. He's got a very good curveball. The command has been outstanding. When he makes a mistake, he has given up a few long balls, but Josh has been solid. He's given his team an opportunity every day. One game was a 2-0 loss to Kansas City, but you can see in his 9 starts, 6-2 record. Out of the 12 home runs, 11 have been solo, so they haven't really hurt him. And the opposition batting average is just 193. And how about 138 to the left-handed hitters? That's amazing. And as I told you, 5 straight wins this year.
All right, when we come back, Andre Knott will join us. We'll talk about the American League MVP race. It may be one-sided, but then again, there may be a dark horse or two to consider. We'll have that when we return.
Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio.
Tires, maintenance, repairs, Conrad's. By WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. And by your Northern Ohio Honda dealers.
And we welcome you into Progressive Field on another very chilly night here at the Ball Yard. That wind whipping straight in from center field once again. It'll probably play tricks on the outfielders. Any ball hitting the air is going to be an adventure. So here we go again. Let's go down to Andre Knott, who's braving the elements in front of the Indians' dugout tonight. MVP. You know, I tried to make a case for anybody other than Josh Donaldson. It's tough to do.
It's tough to do, Matt, but when you go through the clubhouse of the Cleveland Indians, it's very interesting to hear how some think. Now, look, most go along with you. What Josh Donaldson has done and the impact that he's had in the lineup with the Blue Jays blows everyone away. But talking to Austin Adams and talking to a couple of the starting pitchers, they go, look, when you look at what Mike Trout has been able to do over the last month for the Anaheim Angels, you got to put him there. They both sit at the same amount of home runs at this point in time. But another name that creeped out late as I talked to most guys, Michael Vilas says, what about what Prince Fielder has done with Texas and where the Rangers are right now? It's a very interesting conversation with a weekend left in the Major League Baseball season.
Well, I agree with you right there. Donaldson, I think, will win it, but Trout is always in the MVP race. He lost twice to Cabrera. And Nelson Cruz, you don't hear his name, but he's, again, 44 homers, hitting over 300. He has 175 hits. But Prince Fielder is the outside guy looking in because his Texas Rangers are already in the playoffs, and he's had a good year, and he's had a good year all year long. He never really hit a slump.
And there's another guy who's not on that list that probably will get consideration. I think he will get consideration, and that's Jose Bautista. Because remember, Bautista hits behind Donaldson. Yeah. So if there's anything left to clean up, he's done it. He's second to Donaldson in runs scored. He's second to Donaldson in runs batted in. He's one home run behind Donaldson.
Leads the league in walks.
And he's got 34 more walks than Josh Donaldson. So he gets pitched around more.
Yeah.
So there's a guy I think you could at least make a case for, but at the end of the day, all roads lead to Josh Donaldson.
We would think so. I think that's probably going to do it because he has made a difference in the Toronto Blue Jays, no question about it.
Getting ready for baseball as Josh Tomlin is ready to take the field for the Indians tonight, making his final start of the year against the Boston Red Sox. And let's take a look at the starting nine for Torey Lovello, who's in for John Farrell at the helm of the Boston Red Sox. Mookie Betts in the leadoff spot, followed by Dustin Pedroia. Xander Bogaerts will hit third. David Ortiz in the cleanup spot. Travis Shaw. Boy, did he have a great series against the Tribe at Fenway Park earlier this summer. Rusney Castillo will hit in the number 6 hole. Then it's Brock Holt, Blake Swihart, and Jackie Bradley.
And our Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher, Josh Tomlin, is making his last start this year. It'll be the 10th for him this year. He's had 8 really good starts. He's coming off his shortest start of the year, registering just 3 2/3 innings, and he gave up a season-high 5 runs on 7 hits, and he didn't have a strikeout. That was the first time all year. He had at least 5 in every start up until that point, but he'll be right back going at Boston again. His last start came last year in June. He ended up getting beat. He went 5 2/3, gave up 9 hits and 4 runs, and in his career, he is 1-2 against the Red Sox, but he hasn't been pitching like he has this year, so they're going to get a different look at a different guy. Let's set the Indians defense brought to you by Dodge. Behind him, it looks like this. Aviles is in left, Almonte in center, and Sands is over in right. Johnson at third, Lindor at short, Ramirez at second, Santana at first, and Gomes doing the catching.
Marvin Hudson has the plate tonight. David Rackley is at first. Bob Davidson down at second. And the crew chief is Hunter Wendelstedt, who is at third base. Window systems, game time temperature, 54 degrees. But that wind right now is sustained at around 25 miles an hour. It should die down as the evening goes on. But here at the outset, it has really cooled things off considerably.
Well, it's a lot like last night. And remember what the wind did to the baseball. It knocked it all around the ballpark.
We were watching during the Red Sox portion of batting practice. The wind was blowing so hard that the batting cage itself was shaking and moving. Mookie Betts stands in to get us underway. And Josh Tomlin's first pitch of the night is in there for strike one.
What a nice job Betts has done in the leadoff spot for the Red Sox. Has reached base safely in each of the last 34 games, going back to the end of August, the 24th to be exact.
Swing and a miss at the fastball away, and it's 1-2. And he fouls off the off-speed pitch. Might have been a cutter there. Betts has done very well in American League Central Division ballparks this year. In the 9 games he's played at AL Central opponents, he's hitting .447.
You know, he's not a big guy. You look at him, but he has 18 home runs. Can generate some bat speed.
Yeah. Just 2 days ago, had his second career multi-homer game.
Yeah, coming to New York.
Swung on and missed. Josh Tomlin with a good fastball away, well placed. And Betts is out swinging for out number 1. Let's go down to Andre, who has more on what the outfielders are contending with the windy conditions.
Oh, well, it's obviously something that all the outfielders tonight are dealing with. I know in batting practice, a lot of guys were going back and forth. Lonnie Chisenhall's not in the lineup, but he told me in right field it may be easiest. Mike Avila said over in left, he feels like because of the height of the wall and sometimes the height of the wall down left field, it almost swirls and stops down in left field. And Abraham Almonte said last night was the toughest game he's had in center field when dealing with wind. He says it dies during left center, and he goes in right center. It seems like it takes off on him. He says it could be a weird night tonight in the outfield.
See, like we figured last night, it could be doing a bunch of different things out there, and you just never know.
And it all depends on if it's hit to your left or to your right or right at you.
Line drive, or does it have a little more hang time to it to kind of spin off the baseball?
Dustin Pedroia. Bounces it to short. Big hop for Lindor. 2 away. Keys to the game are brought to you by Wayside Furniture for Josh Tomlin. Command and feel. And offensively score 4 or more. That has been a magic number for the Indians all season long. When they score 4 or more, the Tribe is 62-19. Xander Bogaerts celebrated his 23rd birthday yesterday.
What a year he is having. Second in the league behind Cabrera.
Out of play right side. He had a 12-game hitting streak that came to an end a week ago.
And, you know, he needs a good series here to get to 200 hits. He needs 6.
That won't get it. Jerry Sands will make the catch. The Red Sox go 1-2-3. The Indians are coming to bat. Let's take a look at the Indians starting lineup for Terry Francona tonight, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Jose Ramirez in the leadoff spot, followed by Francisco Lindor. Ryan Rayburn batting third. Santana, Gomes, Johnson in the middle. Jerry Sands. Then Abraham Almonte having a good homestand. Mike Aviles batting ninth. That gives the Indians 9 right-handed bats.
And to the Northern Ohio Honda starting pitchers, Henry Owens, the rookie. This year is 4-3 and a 3.84. The first time he's pitched against the Indians, coming tonight. But I'll tell you, he's been very good. 7 innings in his last 3 starts against the Central this year. He's 2-0, a 1.38 ERA. And this guy has pitched very well compared to, I'll tell you about his numbers later. Let's set the Sox defense, brought to you by Dodge. It's going to be Castillo in left, Betts in center, Bradley Jr. in right. Holt at third, Bogarts at short, Pedroia at second, Shaw is at first, Swihart doing the catching.
Jose Ramirez stands in. And Henry Owens fires. Bunt. Owens has it. 1 away. That'll bring up Francisco Lindor. Owens able to navigate that play rather well. Not a bad idea. You know, you try to push bunt it to the right because a lot of left-handers will fall over towards third base, but he's long and rangy, and he was able to track that one down.
This is his 11th career major league start, 5th on the road.
A little bit high, 2-0.
The 2 teams he beat in the Central, he beat Detroit for his first win up against Justin Verlander, that coming back on August 9th. And he beat the Kansas City Royals on the 21st. Pitched 8 innings, and he retired 9 straight batters 2 different times in that game.
Back out of play.
There you see, there is no downfall anywhere. Left-handed, right-handed, he's been as consistent from either side of the plate.
Missed away and runs the count full. Ryan Rayburn waits on deck. And that's ball 4. So a 1-out base runner now for Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn, a .298 average on the year. 7 homers, 28 driven in. Looks at the ball up and away. So after walking Lindor, Owens falls behind Rayburn. He misses again. 2-0.
Missing that ball up and away to the right-handers right now.
Well, he's had 3 starts since getting the call-up in which he's walked 4 batters. He walked 4 Tigers in a start. He walked 4 Mets in a start, and he walked 4 Blue Jays in a start. And that's 3-0. When he's locked in, though, he can be tough. Against Seattle, he had 10 strikeouts against just 1 walk. He did give up 10 hits in that game, though. That has to be fairly uncommon, where you give up 10 hits and get 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's no kidding. If they put that many in play.
That actually happened in his Fenway Park debut. Now the 3-1. Runner goes. Rayburn takes a strike, and Lindor's in safely with his 12th stolen base of the year.
Had a good jump. Even though he has that quick move step off to first base, Lindor got a nice jump and steals it.
And it's a full count now for Ryan Rayburn. And he takes ball 4. So back-to-back walks.
Okay, he's still home plate moving around on him a little bit. That was a 3-1 changeup he threw to Rayburn and a 3-2 changeup.
So 2 on, 1 out. Carlos Santana, the batter. There have only been 3 Red Sox pitchers in team history to strike out 10 in their Fenway Park debut. Along with Henry Owens, Pedro Martinez did it in 1998 against Seattle when he fanned 12 Mariners. The other is a guy you faced, I'm sure, many times in your career, Don Ossie, who did it in 1977 against Milwaukee.
Don Ossie, yeah, he was with the Angels before going to Boston. But right now, this guy's having a tough time throwing strikes. So out comes the pitching coach, Carl Willis. And I'll tell you what, he's slow to the plate, so Lindor may think about getting a walking lead over there because he might be able to steal third as well. But right now, he's having a tough time throwing strikes. And sometimes, after a pitching coach goes to visit the mound and he's all over the place, that next pitch is not a bad time to go because he's concentrating on throwing a strike and nothing else.
Keep a close eye on Lindor. Owens checks him.
Change up.
He did not challenge Santana, but he did get a strike, 2-1. Right back up the middle, and the Indians will probably take the lead. Lindor around third, headed for home. He is.
Wow.
What a throw. They got him. Blake Swihart applies the tag. A terrific throw by Betts. And Lindor is cut down. You thought, at least I did, with his speed, that a base hit to center would probably get him home. But watch the throw by Betts.
Well, the thing I like that Betts, he charged it very well. He made that throw, and he really had him. There was no doubt. In the air, Santana able. Look at how close. He closed the gap, boy. He charged it. Great. Came in and threw a seed right on the money, and you can see the tag applied to Lindor before he touches home plate. Not many times are you going to get him on a base hit to center field.
Not many times do we see center fielders make that throw on the fly.
The key there was charging the baseball, getting to it so quickly. Well, you can see Betts with 10 from center field. Boy, that's
impressive.
Yeah, it really is.
On the play, Rayburn went to third, Santana to second. And Yan Gomes in a 2-0 count. It's been Owen's big problem here in the first, just getting the ball over the plate. He's made 19 pitches, but only 7 of them have been strikes.
Yeah, 4 straight 2-0 counts. Ramirez tried to bunt on the first pitch, and then it's been 2-0 to every hitter following.
Good fastball. Threw it by him at 2-1. Said 88, but it looked like it had more zip than that. Down at his feet. 3 balls and a strike. Now the 3-1 from Owens. Belt high. Second time he's just reared back throwing a fastball.
And his fastball is about 87, 88 tops. Nothing to it. His changeup's at 76. So there's not much on it. You just have to be patient. And
he spoils a good pitch to stay alive. The Red Sox drafted Henry Owens back in 2011 in the supplemental round. He was the 36th overall selection. They got that pick when Victor Martinez left as a free agent to sign with Detroit. Gomes chases on in the dirt. Swihart will throw to first, and that will end the inning. So the Indians have a runner cut down at the plate here in the first, and we are scoreless after 1. get on the board in the bottom of the first inning, but Mookie Betts denied Francisco Lindor with a terrific throw.
Watch where he started and watch where he gets his ball. His closing speed in there, he didn't overrun it. He gathered himself, stayed under control. You can tell this guy's a former infielder going to the outfield with a great throw right there. That was well done.
Leading off the second is David Ortiz for Boston.
When you do that as a center fielder, you charge the ball that well and you get to it quickly, and you play against this guy a couple of times, third base coaches will end up stopping him because they're expecting good throws every time because you charge the ball that well.
Ortiz, a two-hopper to Ramirez in shallow right field. One away. I think the thing that impressed me most about the play by Mookie Betts was that he was so under control. He didn't hurry. He wasn't in a big rush to get rid of the ball.
Right.
As you pointed out, being a former infielder, maybe that plays into it because he fielded that. Even though he's in center field, he fielded it like an infielder would take a ground ball.
That's just fine. Stayed under control, and you throw a strike.
David Ortiz now 1 for 12 in his career against Josh Tomlin. Here's Travis Shaw. Shaw hit everything in sight when the Indians played Boston.
Yes, he did.
At Fenway Park earlier this year.
Yes, he did. How's that? 7 for 11 with a couple of homers.
Just a bit outside, not by much. And it's 2-2. The payoff pitch and a foul out of play.
Travis Shaw went to Kent State. Matter of fact, a couple of coaches came out to see him today. Mike Birkbeck.
Mike Aviles in left field gathers it in. And there are 2 down as Shaw flies out.
Well, get live Indians baseball season long with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Rusney Castillo takes strike 1. Missed inside there. Hit on the ground, a short diving stop by Lindor, gets up and throws, and he got him. Dynamite play by Francisco Lindor to end the inning. Josh Tomlin has faced 6. All 6 have been retired.
And then come on out. You get $10 bleacher seats. Watch the Tribe from one of the best views of the ballpark. Only $10. Go to Indians.com.
Chris Johnson leads off for the Tribe here in the second. Can't quite put my finger on it, Rick, but it just seems that with Johnson, he's pulling off, and therefore he's not getting the barrel to the ball. He's 0 for his last 17, and he's just in one of those funks. But it looks like he's not staying on it like where earlier in the year it seemed like he was driving the ball to the opposite field, wasn't pulling. Now all of a sudden he's maybe getting pull happy.
Well, that certainly could be. I mean, he's one of those guys that he waits on the ball and he usually shoots it the other way. Sometimes, you know, when people are getting the ball by or throwing it by you, start cheating a little bit and you have a tendency to pull off the baseball.
Lays off a breaking ball away, 1-2. And he strikes out. Back-to-back Ks for Henry Owens. One down here in the second. Injury report brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk. Hanley Ramirez has a right shoulder injury, hasn't played in over a month. Koji Uhara hasn't pitched in 2 months almost now. And Clay Buchholz has been out since the middle of July, right before the All-Star break. Jerry Sands. Getting the start in right field tonight. He's picked up a hit in exactly half of the games he has started this year, 15 out of the 30. Owens gets him to swing over the top. It's 1-2. Big curveball. And you can see Sands sort of caught in between on his swing. 2 down. The high school football road to glory rolls on tonight in Brecksville when Nordonia faces off against the Bees. Jeff Phelps, Frank Stams, and Ryan Cavanaugh will bring you all the action tonight at 11 after Indians Live on Sports Time Ohio.
How'd you like trying to throw the football in this wind or into the wind like this?
As long as it's behind you. And even if it's behind you, it just sails, and that's no good either.
Get the running game going.
It's the side throws that it really makes it harder on.
Yeah.
Try to throw those 10, 15-yard out patterns one side to the other. Look out.
It goes 20, 25 and
the
out.
other way.
Yeah,
the defensive backs would be picking you all day long. Rick, he's not throwing hard, kind of like last night, but it's by hitters.
It's enough
They're
to
late.
get it by because his off-speed pitches are so slow. So I told you it's like 76 is his changeup, and he goes up to 88. So, you know, it's about 12 miles an hour difference.
Down in the dirt. Almonte went 6 for 14 in the series against Minnesota. The 2-2. Popped him up back, and this will make its way into the seats.
But he had him way out in front on the front foot there. He had to slow his swing down to try and put it in play.
Sends one in the air to not even the left. Just got a step off the dirt. Indians go 1-2-3, and we are scoreless through 2. Top of the third inning, bottom third of the Boston lineup due here against Josh Tomlin. We're happy to welcome in Indians alumni ambassador Scott Bales. Boy, that's a fancy title, isn't it?
It's fancy. Bobby D must have come up with it.
It's only for you, my friend.
A nice summer night in Cleveland.
Yes,
it's not bad, huh? Did you bring a warm enough jacket for this weekend?
No, this is all Bobby D has for us.
Well, I got one for you.
I need something heavy.
I got you covered.
Look for Cy Bynack to give me a heavier coat.
The arms will be a little short for you.
Up the middle, Lindor cuts it off and throws out Brock Holt, one away.
So how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Went to a game in Kansas City last week, watched the Tribe win. And in 30 years of Tribe baseball, I've never heard Mike Sagi say anything nice about a player.
Yeah.
He loves that shortstop.
Oh, yeah. Francisco
He told me
Lindor.
to watch him. I did, and he's already made 2 of those plays tonight.
He's having a nice year this year.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
He's something special. And Josh Tomlin, we were doing a game this year. He's making his 10th start. A control guy, a field command pitcher. He ended up pitching like 3 straight starts here without a walk, or going into his 4th start. And there was only one other guy before him that went 5 starts in their first without walking a hitter, and it was Scott Bales.
Number 43.
Go figure that out.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
And very disappointing. I actually watched him pitch last week in Kansas City.
Yeah, he had a rough start.
And I thought they retired my number.
You know what? You weren't supposed to be there. That's pretty good right there.
Yeah, the same, kind of the same build, same, a little leaner than back in the day than I am now, but kind of the same size, and he can pitch. Even like you said, a rough outing, gave up a 3-run homer. And
he gave up 5 runs in his 3 2/3 that start. But he's been great. He had the shoulder surgery this year, and he's come out and he's pitched very well.
But he never gives it to you. You got to earn it. I mean, he doesn't walk people. He doesn't put guys on base. He's very rarely pitching behind in counts.
I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. 43 and 43. Unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But, yeah, my youngest daughter had never been to a game in Kansas City, and she calls. She goes to the University of Missouri and says, Dad, the Indians are in town. Can we go to a game? I'm like, oh.
You had to drive a couple hours
I drove to Columbia, picked her up, then from Columbia to Kansas City, went to a game, had a great time. And
did she enjoy it?
Yeah. She hasn't been there since she was maybe 5 when I played.
Right.
And, now the stadium in Kansas City looks completely different.
It's beautiful.
Pretty nice.
Pitch outside to Jackie Bradley.
Yeah, you went, 5 starts before walking a batter in your home ballpark at the old stadium?
A nice old stadium we used to call home.
That's right. It was home.
Corey and I walked around today thinking, how nice is this stadium, Progressive, compared to the place we played?
I know.
And you played.
And it was on the lake, and you talk about the wind. It's bad here. How bad would it be down there tonight?
Oh, 20 degrees colder.
It was always, the cement that surrounded that ballpark.
1-0 pitch to Jackie Bradley. Man, he takes a strike to even the count up.
And I called my buddy Johnny Farrell because I knew they were playing the Red Sox. Didn't know if he was traveling, and he's not.
No, he's not.
So kind of disappointing, but he said everything's going well.
We were fortunate enough when we went to Boston for the first time. He had just found out he was diagnosed with that, and we had a chance to see him, before it started to, he started to get his treatments and things like that. So you've talked to him recently. He's doing fine.
I think another week or two, and then Francona I talked to before the game, and he's talks to him all the time, I think, and I think it looks good. I think it looks good.
Bouncer to second. Ramirez goes to Lindor, back to first. Double play.
Look at that.
Pitcher's best friend.
Ground ball.
We'll continue with Scott Bales here at Progressive Field. No score. Tribe and the Red Sox, middle of the third. Enjoy a cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And you won't have any trouble keeping them cold this evening.
Just leave them right next to you. Leave them in the canister right in front of you.
We're visiting with Scott Bales, Indians alumni ambassador this weekend here at Progressive Field. When you look out there and you see Travis Shaw at first base. Now, I know you and Jeff didn't play together. I think you missed each other by a year. He would have been maybe in the minor leagues when you were pitching with Cleveland?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in. I'm not sure.
What
exactly.
year?
His rookie year would have been 90, and that was your first year with the Angels, I think.
Okay, I
So you
thought
missed each other by
maybe
a
you were
year.
just exaggerating, maybe being mean to me. Because I thought it was decades after.
Well, you played till you were 50, didn't you? You and Julio.
57.
Julio's still playing.
In Japan, player manager, read an article about it last week.
You did hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting article. He's very holistic now.
Okay.
Not what I remember.
He wasn't like that when he played. You didn't room with him, did you?
No. I had Richie Yett and John Farrell were my roomies.
Okay. Not
It's a
yet.
short. Bobbled by Bogarts. No play, and Avila's aboard to start the third inning for Cleveland.
So I never did play with Shaw.
But is it strange to see, a guy who you were at least contemporaries with, and now his son is playing here in a big league role?
It's all over. Their
it's true.
sons playing everywhere. Trying to think the outfielder. He was with the Padres. Little outfielder I played with his dad in Anaheim. And I think his son's already been in the big league 6 years.
Yeah, it's scary.
It goes by. It just goes by. And the players, as you guys see every day, they get better. They're better. And we'll go to fantasy camp and we talk to all the old guys.
Yeah.
Oh, back in our day, it was hard. We played hard. We played more games. They're so much stronger. They're so much faster. Their arms are better. Every guy throws 95.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. I mean, you come out. Bullpens are set up. It's it's a matchup now after 6 innings. Your starters only have to go 6,
right?
Preferably 7. If you give them good 7 innings.
But think about it now. When you talk about you can talk about a guy that had a great start that went 6 1/3.
Yeah.
Great start. Start.
That's true. Well, it wasn't like that back then, but the conditioning is different nowadays. The nutrition, how these guys take care of themselves. Unlike us, Cy had the burgers for us on Fridays, and come on. We never had food in the clubhouse and things like that.
Corey Snyder and I were just talking about foul ball spring training meal, a ladle of soup,
right?
And if you took 2 packs of crackers, Cy was not happy.
You had to be a veteran.
Not happy. Yeah, you had to have 5 years in to get 2 packs of crackers.
Either that or tip Cy better than you did.
It didn't matter what you gave Cy. It is what it is.
It was a long day. And they had some fruit. They would have oranges or an apple there.
We don't recall fruit.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
Maybe you guys had a better team than when Corey and I got there. But we got on a special day. If Cy felt great about us and about the lunch in Tucson, a couple packets of honey.
Oh, to go in there?
On the crackers.
Nice.
Bonus. The 2-2 to Ramirez. Yeah, foul back.
How would you like to play nowadays? You go into the clubhouse, they have like 5-course meals every day after the game. These guys,
I would have weighed 300 pounds, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I would have. And
they'd roll you out to the mound.
Pre-game, when Corey and I went out and threw out a first pitch, which was awkward because the 2 guys that caught us, the Indians players, got about 2 feet. They got like 2 feet apart, and we both said, "This got to be gentle here because we're going to hit someone."
Well, they knew you had good control.
Yeah, great control on a cold night. But someone's yelling at us from the other dugout. It was Chili Davis, who was a teammate in Anaheim.
Right. Chili's the hitting coach over there, right.
Funniest guy I've ever played with. Great guy.
He was a great hitter, too.
Great guy to have on your team. And I stay so in touch with baseball, I didn't even know he was coaching. He goes, "Scotty, I've been doing it for about 10 years.
Well, he came from the Oakland A's. Yeah, he did a nice job over there. He's
there he is.
Yeah. There's Chili. Yes,
your
indeed.
camera guys are working.
They're good. They're the best here. All you have to do is mention something.
That was an accident.
No accident.
They were just shooting over there. But then a couple other friends, not friends, but former guys that played in Springfield Cardinals. Alan Craig and Joe Kelly.
Okay, that's
both
right.
Spent a full, or Kelly spent parts of 2 years in Springfield.
He ended up having a good year coming back, and he won 8 consecutive starts there.
Yeah, late.
And then he ended up having to go on the shelf.
Yeah, he's a little skinny guy. He's smaller than I was when I played, and he throws 95.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I don't know where his comes from, but he's got good stuff. And Alan Craig, when I saw him in Double-A, I said that's the best hitter I've ever seen in the minor leagues.
Well, he was a great clutch hitter when he played for the Cardinals.
And then he gets called up. They go to the World Series. He's Mr. Clutch, gets a huge deal, and he hurt his ankle. Remember, in the World Series, went down, surgery, and has never been the same.
That's something else. Already the third walk now by Owens.
You know, while we're talking about guys you played with and former teammates, I had forgotten that you came to Cleveland from the Pirates. You were with the Pirates organization originally.
Yeah.
You came over for Johnny LeMaster.
Johnny Disaster. That was a deal. At the time, I think, and Bobby D knows the details, of course, but I think Johnny LeMaster was here. Did you play with him, Rick?
No, I was gone.
Just missed him?
Yeah.
He was making $250,000, and Dan O'Brien wanted to unload his contract.
Yeah, that was heavy-duty pay.
I was the player to be named later to unload that huge $250,000 contract.
So what was your first year then? 88, 89?
85, I got traded, went to Waterbury with.
Okay.
And that's where I teamed up with Corey and Farrell and Dave Clark and all
Who's
those
now coaching
guys.
third base.
Yeah.
For Detroit.
And Tabby and Jake. That when I got traded, that's the group that was.
Okay.
A couple of those guys were already here, but we all came up together.
What was your first year in the big leagues?
86.
Okay.
Out of spring training, one of those long shots, not on the roster. No way this is going to happen. A couple guys get hurt, and you get a couple guys out, and a couple more guys get hurt.
You just never
know.
know.
And you keep getting a couple guys out, and before you know it, you've kind of withstood a long spring training, and I think I was supposed to be there for a couple weeks until a couple guys got healthy, and you get off to a good start and good things happen.
Yeah. Timing. Timing's the key. You just never know, and you have to be ready.
Yeah.
I mean,
you do.
Even though you're not on their radar to make the team that year.
Yeah, I was on nobody's radar.
But if you get an opportunity,
Yeah.
you don't let the door close on you. You get that opportunity, you have to take advantage of it, right?
Well, you said the opportunity was Dale Berra broke his ankle, and they were very good at the time, the Pirates. Broken ankle, they needed a shortstop. We're trying to unload that big contract. He goes there
right.
to fill in for the last couple months. I get shipped off. I drive 2 hours from Nashua, New Hampshire to Waterbury, Connecticut. Jack Aker looks at me and says, "You're the guy we got."
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
And after 2 appearances, he goes, I don't know why, but Cleveland said to give you a start.
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
So you went out there just brimming with confidence that first time out, I'm sure.
Always a highly confident pitcher. It was brimming.
Isn't it fun, though, when you get around the guys, you can sit and look back and reminisce about stories like this?
Oh, yeah. And most of the guys, if you think about it, all the guys you played with, most of them aren't first-round draft picks. They're guys that have just worked their way, grinded it out, opened the right eyes, got a chance, and got somebody out or got some hits.
And it might not have been with your original team.
Speaking of which, you just described the guy that you were traded for when the Indians sent you to the Angels.
Jeff Manto.
Yes, sir.
It was actually, if Manto's out there,
too.
Is he in Chicago still?
No.
I knew he was. Manto and Colin Charlin.
Yeah.
I was a 2-for-1 guy.
You were a twofer.
You were a twofer.
Yeah. It took 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
And Manto, he had some of the most home runs in the minor leagues for quite some time.
Mickey Manto.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he could bomb him.
He's a big guy. And Colin Charlin, I've never met him or seen him, but they said he was a 6'5" lefty. And the minute he got traded, he never pitched another inning.
Base hit left field. Bases are loaded now.
Stopped
That's
him
another
that time.
throw. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're going to stop. That's Aviles running over there. You're going to stop him, but a base hit there for Rayburn. Loads him up.
Colin Charlin, by the way, as we take another look on the replay here. Colin Charlin went 6'3", 205.
And they traded him for a 5'3", 155.
116.
He never pitched in the big leagues.
Nope. How high did he get?
He got to AAA with the Indians and Angels in '93. Vancouver with the Angels, Charlotte with the Indians.
Well, an opportunity here for Santana to give the Indians a lead now. He tried back in the first inning. Had a runner thrown out at the plate. Lindor was on a great throw by Betts. He's already at 60 pitches. This guy tops out at 88.
And that's more what it was like
88,
back
and
in the day.
His changeup is like 76 that I've seen.
Santana smokes it to deep center field. Betts won't get it. It's off the wall. Avila scores. Ramirez scores. Here comes Rayburn. It's a 3-run double for Carlos Santana, and the Indians take a 3-0 lead.
That ball was hammered right there.
Right into the wind.
Yeah, it cut through the wind. And it goes off the wall about halfway up in center field. I'm talking about the high part of the wall. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. There it is. He got a high fastball and got on top of it. That's the tomahawk chop right there. Get him 3 more RBIs and give him 84 on the year. And the Indians put 3 on the board. And
you know, let me ask Scotty about this, Rick, because we mentioned last night the Twins pitcher, name just completely escaped me, right-hander, but had a really good breaking ball.
Duffy.
Yeah, Tyler Duffy. But his fastball was 89, 90, but he was throwing it by guys. Same situation. Granted, it's a left-hander. But when you've got a good off-speed pitch, the fastball can kind of sneak up and get by guys. But can you get lulled into a false sense of security with it as a pitcher?
No doubt. 100%. And because by throwing a curveball and then a slower curveball, then the fastball, hitters react like it looked 94. It's not. It's still 86 or 88, whatever it is. And if you back it up 2 times in a row is where I would always get hurt. I could throw fastball, changeup fastball, or curveball, curveball, fastball. But back-to-back fastballs in the strike zone, not a good recipe for average stuff guys.
Right. Well, you have to move it up and down, too. You can't show it the same spot every time. Earlier in the game, he was trying to throw that fastball away, and he was missing way up and away with it. But Santana got on that one there.
I had no idea he had 84 RBIs.
He does now, yes.
That's a good year. Average year for Rick Manning.
No, well, with Santana, he's been hitting 4th, and he's had an opportunity. If he was hitting for a better average, he's had a lot of opportunities. More. Yeah, he certainly could.
It's a weird year for Santana. He has the most 2-out RBI hits on the club. But you look at him and you think, boy, he should be around that 100 RBI mark already with the opportunities he's had. And
he walks a lot. He's second in the league in walks behind Bautista with Toronto. You know, he's 104. So if he would be aggressive and was a good RBI man, yes.
And that's something you hope he kind of works his way into.
Well,
right?
You hope so, but we've seen him here now for 5 years, and he hasn't changed. That's his style. You know, he takes a lot of pitches. He takes a lot of walks. He gets on base a lot.
Whereas a guy like Big Papi,
well, yeah,
in an RBI situation,
guys.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm not walking.
Right. I mean, they'll expand Albert Bell.
It's a mentality.
Expand your strike zone to get that run home when you have runners in scoring position, or at least on third in less than 2 outs.
Who were RBI guys that you said, uh-oh, this is a tough guy to face with men on base?
Eddie Murray.
Yeah, no doubt.
Switch hitter.
Gomes, a towering pop to left. 2 down.
Eddie Murray was, for me, one of the toughest outs that I remember. You know, I did really well against maybe the 2 best hitters of my era, Cal Ripken and George Brett. Both of them, I think someone told me, hit under 200 against me. But boy, Eddie Murray, you miss with a changeup up a little bit, he'd hit it out. You throw your best curveball, he'd hit a double down the right field line. He was just, I didn't know. And kind of the same way with Dave Winfield, such huge plate coverage. You know, you think pitch him in a way, and he could get to both with bat speed and length of being 6'6".
Right.
And like to hit it back at pitchers. And
that's why you didn't want to throw him away, did you?
And I played with him with the Angels, and he said, oh, I'd love. And then he'd show you how, watch tonight, if I do get fooled, I like to throw my bat at the pitcher.
Base hit to right for Chris Johnson. That's going to plate Santana. Johnson snaps an 0 for 18 slump with an RBI knock to make it 4-0 Cleveland.
That's just what he needed.
Boy, the old 2-out RBI hit as well.
Yeah, that's something he needed. So they put a crooked number on there. They have 4 runs, and that's a nice job. He stayed on it, and he just drove it the other way.
Well, what did we say earlier? It looked like he'd been maybe trying to pull off. That time he stayed right on it.
Well, it's a good job getting that runner in from second with 2 outs, as you say.
And now the 8th man to bat in the inning is Jerry Sands, who grounded out his only time up.
4 hits in the inning. You're already getting texts from people all over the country that I watch it.
Yeah, fantasy camp guys.
Well, we're sold out again this year.
Wearing me
That's
out.
not one of the Schuberts, is it?
Schuberts are here tomorrow.
Okay.
Family reunion, so you might want to talk about that.
All right,
if it's a slow game or a rain delay tomorrow.
No, we'll have the camera guys looking for
Find him.
Yeah.
Scotty, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, guys.
Indians alumni ambassador Scott Bales with us tonight.
See you in the warm weather.
Erupt for a 4 spot here in the 3rd to take the lead. Nothing. Josh Tomlin will go against the top of the order. Mookie Betts. And he takes ball 1. Betts struck out his only time up. And a fastball misses low, 2-0. Yankees and Orioles already rained out.
There were a few games on the East Coast called because of the
is that a hurricane?
Was it Joaquin?
Yeah.
Yes. So you can see in Baltimore, the Yankees in Baltimore rained out early. I don't know who else on the East Coast, but they were called by 3.
Is that the rain that's headed our way, part of that storm?
I hope not. Philly and the Mets rained out.
Hit right at Lindor. 1 away. When an Indians starting pitcher gets 4 runs of support while he's in the game, the Indians are 48-2.
How about that?
Only the Pirates are better.
Well, you know, Josh has been blessed because they average over 6 runs a game when he pitches. 6.22.
Breaking ball in there for a strike. Pedroia pulls it foul. Grounded to short. It's only time up. I don't believe he was active when the Indians played the Red Sox in Boston earlier this year. He missed a lot of time on the DL. Line toward right center, and a diving catch by Jerry Sands.
Nice play.
Really well done by the Indians right fielder, and Pedroia can only shake his head in disbelief as the big guy sprawled out and robbed him.
Well, that ball kept getting down on him, and Sands had the right footwork going into it. He took that one last step, and he knew he had to dive because he was that close. He reaches out, it goes into his glove, and he holds on to it. So very nice play to take a hit away, and Josh Tomlin loves it.
In addition to that stat we just showed you about the 4 runs of support, when the Indians score first at home, they're 18-3. Just haven't done it a lot.
Well, you love crooked numbers early at your home ballpark, especially the way they've been playing here in that stretch.
That's smashed into center.
Yeah, this young man has developed into a very good hitter. He's now 5 hits away from 200.
Here's our Levin Furniture player profile on David Ortiz. 502 home runs now. 3rd among active players. Number 1 in the doubles category.
Yeah, 1,638 RBIs. That's a lot of ribbies. And look at, you know, the amount of hits, 2,300 hits and 1,600 of ribbies. So he's made the most of every hit, hasn't he?
It seems like he has, you know, it's one thing to get a reputation. He has earned the reputation as being a clutch hitter, as well as wearing a hubcap around his gold chain. That thing is enormous. Pitches outside. Probably cost more than both of our cars combined.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, Boston, they struck it rich with David Ortiz because he was just starting to come into his own when he left the Twins as a free agent and went to Boston. Guy's got like 17 pages in his bio.
Well, when he was in Tampa, he hit home run number 499 and 500 in the same game. He took care of it quickly. Some guys, it takes a while.
Yeah, he started his career in the Mariners organization. But then he went to the Twins in the Dave Hollins trade. Hollins played here with the Indians.
Yeah.
And then his last year with Minnesota was in 2002. Uh-oh. He just got into one. 503 home runs for David Ortiz. He blasted that baby out of here. A 2-run shot with 2 outs in the 4th to get the Red Sox on the board.
Yeah, they cut it in half. They come back and answer with 2 outs now. That's number 37 for Ortiz. And that's only the second time. That's the 13th home run given up by Josh Tomlin. Second time, it's a 2-run homer. He had given up 11 solo home runs, but this one, there was a man aboard. And no doubt when he gets it, they tried to go with that fastball in. And he was waiting for it.
I mean, that's the most home runs that Ortiz has hit since '06.
Yeah.
That's the kind of year he's had at what would appear to be the end of the road, and he keeps getting better.
He really has had a solid year, no question.
But I was just about to say, Rick, his last year with the Twins in '02, and that's when, if you remember right, that's right about the time Minnesota turned the tables on Cleveland in the division.
Right.
He hit 272 that year, hit at that time a career best 20 homers, drove in 75. So it's not like he never hit home runs and then went to Boston and suddenly became a superstar. It was just that he was just starting to figure things out. He hit 18 the year before, and he hit 20 with Minnesota. Then he went to Boston and 31, 41, 47, 54. Those prime 3 years in his career, 04, 05, and 06. He hit 41 and 139.
And he had Manny Ramirez there with him, too. They were hitting behind each other. There's a nice stroke.
Travis Shaw with a base hit to left.
They had the shift on, and with 2 strikes, Shaw goes the other way. So it's 3 consecutive 2-out hits here by Boston. Now, you watch the defense with 2 strikes. You got Aviles over there. Johnson was over there playing shortstop, and that's the third baseman. So with 2 strikes, Shaw gave himself up and hit the ball where it was pitched. He had a 4-hit game against the Indians back in Boston. This is the last team that the Indians played this year were the Red Sox. And, of course, they're going to close out the year here. And then what happens? We'll come right back for 2016 and open up the season against the Boston Red Sox.
Rusney Castillo robbed of a hit by Lindor his first time up. And the count 1-1. That's going to stay fair up the first base line. And that will end the inning. But David Ortiz gets Boston on the board here in the 4th with a 2-run homer. It's 4-2 Cleveland. Time now to tweet your strongest fan photo to us using the hashtag STODataStrongFan for a chance to have one of your photos shown during an upcoming telecast. It's all courtesy of T-Mobile. For the Tribe here in the fourth inning, Abraham Almonte, Mike Aviles, and Jose Ramirez due up. Pops one up.
That wind should push it. No, it's not. It came back.
Yeah. Oh, it goes off the glove of Swihart.
Oh, I thought he had it. I don't know if he took his eye off it going to that netting over there where the diamond suites are.
I think you're right, though. That wind, you would think it would push it out of play.
I thought it did, but it came back. No, he knew he was getting close. He sensed it, and it just didn't hit in the center of the glove. Let him check his eyes. No.
Just didn't stick.
No, it did not. And there is no play called.
Almonte with a push bunt.
Boy, this guy.
Oh, he's out at first by a whisker.
Well, they're going to take a look at it and see.
It was a really nice play by Pedroia.
It was an outstanding play if they had him. I thought he had himself another bunt base hit. He's going to wait there to see on the replay. Terry waiting to get the okay. But it was a great bunt, I thought. And watch Pedroia come out of nowhere, out of his glove. Boy, oh boy, that was a good play. They got him. That was a great play. No second baseman. He came in a hurry. Boy, that was it couldn't have been 6 inches. Almonte thought he had it. About as close as you can get right there. It was a good bunt, and it was even a better play by Pedroia.
Up comes Mike Aviles as he takes the ball down low. Aviles singled and scored in the third. Popped back out of play. What happened? Oh, that ball came back off the screen.
It's slow coming down the netting, and the ball boy's over there, and sort of probably affected Owens as he was looking in because he was waiting for the ball to come down.
Aviles chases one up high, and it's 2-2. Back out of play. Stays 2-2. Jose Ramirez will be next. Punches it toward right center. Betts is there, 2 down. Tonight's stat of the game is brought to you by Buick. In Red Sox history, 10 or more strikeouts, 1 or no walks in 3 straight starts. You wouldn't think that Rich Hill and Pedro Martinez would be on the same graphic, would you?
No, not in the same breath. No way. Hill's done a nice job starting for the Red Sox, though. He really has. He pitched, I think it was yesterday or the day before, so they won't see him in the series. Hill pitched last night.
Little line into left field and a base hit for Jose Ramirez to keep the inning alive.
Well, check out the final weekend of the season from the corner with $13 district tickets. It's presented by Sports Time Ohio, and the tickets are available only at Indians.com.
Popped up, foul, out of play. Well, Henry Owens' streak that garnered him a little notoriety comes to an end here tonight. It's one of those oddball stats, but unique because of the guy he's linked to. 99 years ago, Babe Ruth did it. Now Henry Owens has done it.
Uh-oh.
He went, coming into tonight, he had made 3 straight starts, going at least 7 innings, striking out at least 4, walking 2 or left at age 23 or younger.
Unbelievable. They come up, they do the research. I thought you were going to say he ate 3 hot dogs before he went out to pitch.
Babe Ruth did it when he was just 21 years old. Remember, he was a pitcher when he started out with Boston.
Yes, he was. He won 100 games in his career.
Left-hander. Only Sox left-handers to do it at age 23 or younger. Babe Ruth was 21. Owens is 23. But he's already walked, 4 tonight? 1, 2,
3.
3, yeah. So the streak was with 2 walks or less. And I don't know that he's going to make it to 7 innings either. Not the way this is going. He's at 82.
No, he's not going to come close to 7.
Runner goes. Lindor fouls it back.
Yeah, Lindor liked that pitch to swing at, even though Ramirez was off and running. It was a good count to run on. 2-1 count.
Pulled the string on him. Nice pitch by Owens to get out of the inning. 4 complete. Cleveland 4, Boston 2.
by the Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough.
That's the kind of night it is. Bring an extra blanket.
No doubt about it. They're smart. I don't know if they're still warm, but they're at least they brought a blanket.
At the very least, maybe it'll cut the wind.
Yeah, that's.
Brock Holt grounded out his only time up. Lindor made a nice play on it. Bullseye. And it's 2-1. A little bit low. 3 balls and a strike. That's out of play. And the count is full. The payoff pitch. Boy, he took it right down Broadway. Second strikeout for Tomlin. One down here in the 5th.
Take a look at this pitch on our Nissan pitch tracker. Sometimes you look for something and you get another thing, and it was a fastball right there. He took one low to go to a 2-2 count, but that one stayed right there at the knees, and he knew it. Boy, as a hitter, you start talking to yourself taking that fastball, because that's the pitch they never want to get beat on as a hitter. You know, breaking ball, okay, you can take that, or you may swing and chase that, but you don't like to take heaters, especially when it's cut right down the middle.
Blake Swihart takes one right down the middle, and it's 1-1. He singled to left in the 3rd. Oh, he comes back with a good changeup after the fastball.
Yeah, change up away. You're not getting 2 in a row. Like Scott Bales told us tonight, when you have average stuff, and I'm not a blazing fastball, you don't want to back it up 2 times.
Struck him out.
Cutter in.
Back inside on him. Boy, that was a clinic in that at bat.
Yeah, that's going to work on a hitter, no question.
Let's go down to Andre, who has more on Josh Tomlin.
You know, in talking to Josh, he's really finally feeling comfortable. He says he's been through so much over the last 2 years and just trying to get the right arm slot, not to feel pain, that he goes, I know it's not popular to say right now in the clubhouse. He goes, but I wish we could go 2-3 more months. He goes, I finally feel like the pitcher I've wanted to be over the last couple of years. And he goes, I finally have that feel. I just hope I can keep it throughout the offseason.
You know, he will, Andre, because you know he is such a competitor. He goes out there, and I understand, because he had to rehab and spent so much time in Arizona to get himself healthy again. He's finally healthy. He doesn't want it to end, and I don't blame him.
Popped him up. Jose Ramirez makes the catch. They go 1-2-3. And the Indians still lead it 4-2. A trip to spring training with the Tribe's Get to Goodyear contest. The winner will receive airfare for two, accommodations, and game tickets. Visit Indians.com/GetToGoodyear for details. We head now to the bottom of the fifth, and it will be Ryan Rayburn, Carlos Santana, and Yan Gomes due up. Roped foul off the tarp. Upstairs, 1-1. Two balls and a strike. High pop on the infield. Pedroia.
Keep the feet moving.
He makes the catch for out number one. Santana singled in the first inning and then cleared the bases with a 3-run double in the third.
Yeah, he picked on a high fastball up and away and hit it off the wall in center, cutting right through the wind.
Up again, and it's ball four. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Carlos Santana got it rolling for the Tribe in the third. Bases loaded, off the wall to drive in three. And then with two outs, Chris Johnson snapped an 0 for 18 with an RBI hit to make it 4-0. Red Sox only runs coming on a 2-run homer by David Ortiz, his 37th of the year, in the fourth. One on, one out. Yan Gomes takes ball one. Henry Owens in what will more than likely be his final inning of work if he can get through it. Nobody up in the Boston bullpen, though, as he closes in on 100 pitches for the night. Inside with that fastball, 2-0. Up 3-0. Owens walked 2 in the first, 1 in the third, and now 1 here in the fifth. Bullseye, 3-1. Well struck to deep center. Back is Betts. He's out of room. It's off the wall. Backed up by Bradley. Coming around third. Santana's going to try to score, and he will. Poor execution by the Red Sox, and the Indians take advantage and lead it now 5-2.
Well, that wind did something to the baseball as well. By the time Bradley got over there to the wall to try and catch it, was that Betts in center. It was smoked, and you watch it. There's a breaking ball out over the plate. And here comes Betts. He sees the wall, and he's going to jump up. He just couldn't get there. And that wind pushed it away from him.
Yeah, he kind of lost track of where he was.
Sure did. So it goes off the wall, and then Bradley came over to help out and back up.
But then watch his throw.
Well, his throw was all the way in, trying to home plate, and he just couldn't get it there. Never got it to his cutoff man. He tried to throw it all the way in the air. That enabled Santana to come around and score, so give Gomes the RBI double. They make it a 5-2 game now. And that bullpen is up and going.
Jonathan Aro up in the Boston bullpen as Chris Johnson looks at ball one. Johnson drove in a run with a 2-out hit his last time up. That's low. 2-0. Hit hard, and Johnson has his second straight hit. Gomes stops at third.
Yeah, he won't be long for this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him out of there now. Had to go into Chris Johnson. He got a ball down the middle to his liking. Ahead in the count, pulls it in the hole between short and third. So Gomes able to move up a base. They have runners at the corners now for Jerry Sands.
Henry Owens has only had one 1-2-3 inning tonight. And that was in the second. So he's been out of the stretch a lot. Well, look at that. 5 for 8.
Yeah, they kept doing it back in the third inning when they scored their 4.
That's a fair ball and down the left field line. Gomes will score. Johnson on his way to third, and he'll be stopped there as Jerry Sands has an RBI double. 4 straight have reached here in the 5th with 1 out, and the Indians now lead it 6-2.
Well, he gets a breaking ball that stayed upstairs, and he's able to keep his hands back enough and drilled it past Holt down into the corner. So another double, third double for the Indians tonight.
In all likelihood, this would be the last batter of the night for Henry Owens.
Well, they're bringing the infield in as well.
Abraham Almonte 0 for 2. Way outside, ball 1. Almost get after it. Yes, he did, says David Rackley, the first base umpire on appeal. So it's 1-1.
Here's our look from the side. Yeah, he went. That was a good call.
Right back to the screen. Good cut. Pitch was up. Got the breaking ball, bloops it to left. That's going to drop for a hit. Jerry Sands scampers home from third. 7-2 Indians.
Well, that was just well placed with the infield in. If he's back, it's an easy out, but they're playing it in to cut out the run at home plate. And Almonte he couldn't have threw it out there any better. Off the end of the bat, fooled on the pitch, and you can see Bogaerts just couldn't get up to it.
I think I said Jerry Sands scampered home. It was Chris Johnson who came home. Sands is at second base. Almonte at first, and that is it for Henry Owens. 5 straight Indians. Time now for our T-Mobile Data Strong fan photo of the game. And don't forget, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STO Data Strong Fan for a chance to have one of your photos shown during an upcoming telecast. Now the Indians have jumped on them. 3 here in the 5th to chase Henry Owens, and they lead it 7-2. The new pitcher is Jonathan Aro.
Just the 6th time appearing in a ball game. 4 straight hits for the Indians to chase Owens. It all started with the walk to Santana. Carlos had a couple of hits off of him.
Lonnie Chisenhall getting an opportunity to bat here with the right-hander coming in. Pops it up to left field for out number 2. Ramirez sends one to center field. Betts is there and makes the catch to end the inning. Indians send 8 men to the plate, score 3, and lead it now 7-2. All right, welcome back here. Jerry Sands goes to left field. Lonnie Chisenhall is now in right. First ball swinging, back out of play. Mookie Betts is 0 for 2, has struck out, grounded out. Big curveball drops in for a strike. Well, Tomlin has been very good again here tonight, bouncing back after his shortest start of the year.
Well, and he's had some help from his friends, the offense. He got him 4 1/3, and after the Red Sox cut it in half to make it a 4-2, offense comes back, scores 3 in the 5th.
It's hit pretty well to center. Almonte drifting back on it, though, and makes the catch. Wind doesn't seem to be doing as many tricks tonight.
Yeah.
Time for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt, Rick, let's head down to Arlington where the Angels are trying to hang in the wild card race. Texas trying to wrap up the West, and the Angels on the board first thanks to C.J. Cron, an RBI single here in the first inning. It's still 1-0 Angels, third inning in Texas, guys.
All right, thanks, Al. Tomlin with a first pitch strike to Dustin Pedroia, who's 0 for 2. Checked his swing and pops it into the seats. Josh Tomlin ready. The 1-2 pitch up high. Did Pedroia check? No, he went around, says David Rackley. 4th strikeout for Tomlin. 2 down in the 6th.
Well, Pedroia is he likes to hit the high fastball, but you sit on his off-speed pitches, and then all of a sudden you see it up in the high, and he couldn't hold up. He couldn't check it. He ended up going.
Xander Bogaerts singled with 2 outs in the 4th inning, and that led to the Red Sox first runs of the night. Next man up, David Ortiz, hit the 2-run homer. It's all they've been able to muster against Tomlin so far. Belt high strike, and it's 1-1.
Bogaerts came into this game tied for the league in hits with Jose Altuve. Both of them 194. Bogaerts has his one. Altuve, they're out in Arizona. How about them? They're in the playoff hunt, and they're in interleague play to end the season where their pitchers have to hit.
Yeah. And where they have not played well on the road.
Dallas Keuchel looking for number 20. 15 of his 19 wins have come at home. And I don't think David Price is going to pitch again this year, at least until the playoffs. So if Keuchel can get his 20th, that could get him that Cy Young Award. Those two are neck and neck.
Yeah. Yeah, that could pretty much put him over the top. I don't know. It's you
close.
Never know how the writers will vote on those things sometimes. I would think maybe there's a sentimental vote that goes to Keuchel just for the overall story.
No question. 15-0 at home. It's yeah. I would like to see him win it.
It's kind of like that's the question about the MVP award. Where would the team be without so-and-so is one way to address the question. Well, without Keuchel, the Astros, they're not in it.
No question. No question.
Now, without Price, the Blue Jays, you could make a strong case that he put them over the top, too, for as good as he's been.
Yeah, they got him, though, for that playoff.
Stretch run.
Yes, the playoff run, no doubt.
Well, I'm sure David Price would love to win a Cy Young Award. He'd love even more to win a world championship. But his true reward is going to come after the season's all said and done. Because as a free agent, he is going to cash in big time. And if recent history has shown us anything about what starting pitchers can command on the free agent market.
No kidding. Yeah, Scherzer was the latest victim last year.
Kia in the driver's seat. In Red Sox history, David Ortiz, 445 home runs, trailing Yaz and Ted Williams. To first, Santana's right there. That'll end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 7-2 Cleveland. 7-2, the Indians on top. Bottom of the 6th, Lindor, Rayburn, Santana due up. Right-hander Jonathan Aro got the last 2 outs in the 5th inning, staying on here. Everybody was back ready to play, but the clock wasn't wound down yet.
Yeah, you got to wait till it gets down to what, 30?
Yeah. On a night like this, everybody's ready a little quicker maybe than normal.
Yeah.
Not a lot of time to be standing around waiting. That wind has not died down at all since we started.
You know, I don't know if it's going to get any better tomorrow either. As far as the wind goes.
Yeah, it looks like that hurricane that you mentioned that wiped out a couple of games on the East Coast, the edge of that is going to be moving our way tomorrow afternoon. Two balls and 2 strikes. Up and away. And the count goes full, 3-2. And he walked him. Leadoff man aboard for Cleveland. Down to Andre, who has more on Francisco Lindor and his 2-strike approach.
Yeah, he said his 2-strike approach has helped him throughout his entire at-bats. He used to going into the spring, he would go with a 33-inch bat. But through some suggestions from some different players and different guys, he went to 33.5. And with 2 strikes, he still chokes up, guys, like you tell you back in Little League. And he says that's helped him, his approach in all at-bats. When he has a longer bat now, chokes up a little bit, gives him more control to flip away the balls he doesn't want to hit.
Yeah.
And he's got a quicker stroke inside if they try to get him out and inside.
Well, then it makes sense. You know, you shorten up, you give up, you don't try and hit the ball too hard. Put it in play. Sometimes good things happen when you put it in play. I think the strikeout now has become where it's no big deal for people. It's just another out. Where when you take that approach where you want to put it in play and you have guys on base, you want to do something. Nothing wrong with choking up. Taking a little bit off your swing.
I guess my thinking's come around a little bit on that. I do understand that a strikeout isn't any worse than a pop-up on the infield or a ground out right at an infielder. In some ways, it's better than a double play ball. So I get that it's not maybe the scarlet letter that it was at one time in baseball. But with 2 strikes, I love the idea of, hey, you know what? Okay, I'm going to change my approach a little bit here so I can try to get a base hit, punch the ball, do something, make it happen.
They like to work pitchers. You like to work a pitcher, foul off a pitch or a few pitches when you get to 2 strikes as opposed to trying to hit it, hard or put a long swing on it.
That might depend on the type of hitter you are, I suppose.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys come up, they don't have that approach in their mindset. And it hasn't been that way. And a lot of people don't teach that way anymore. But you said, hey, that's what you did when you came up when I was around. You choke up, you get to 2 strikes, and you change your approach.
I mean, would you want Reggie Jackson to go to a 2-strike
no,
approach?
That's different. Now,
You know
when you hit home runs, when you hit 30 home runs, and you can swing for the fences. But most of your guys, I mean, when you're watching middle infielders, and I mean, their guys are bigger now, but when you're watching middle infielders strike out 150, 175 times, that's crazy. Put the ball in play.
Especially when you've got good wheels. If you're a guy who has, like in your case, when you have good speed, put the ball on the ground and something good might happen. We've seen it happen so many times where if an infielder bobbles it slightly, that's all it takes, and now you're safe.
Yeah, guys that, there's certain home run hitters, that's fine. They're good hitters. They're power hitters, and they deserve to go ahead and swing the bat like that.
Yeah, if you're in Boston, you don't want David Ortiz to choke up with 2 strikes and try to punch the ball the other way.
No, you don't ever want him to choke up, ever.
That took off 1-1. Good off-speed pitch. And Santana behind in the count, 1-2. Came back with it, and he strikes him out. Back-to-back Ks for Aro, 2 down in the 6th. Our AT&T U-verse rewind. Santana unloaded the bases in the 3rd inning with a 3-run double. And then Yan Gomes. He doubles home Carlos Santana in the 5th. And Jerry Sands doubles home Chris Johnson. There are some nights where you just can't buy a hit with a runner in scoring position. And then there are nights like tonight.
Yeah.
Where they come in bunches.
Well, Boston's the team that's been scoring the runs over the last, 6 weeks? Hitting with runners in scoring position, averaging just under 6 runs a game, 5.8.
Not surprisingly, home road splits, pretty drastic difference for Boston. They're averaging almost a full run less per game on the road than they are at home. Averaging 4.6 runs per game at home, 3.7 on the road. Since the All-Star break, the Tribe as a team is at 265 with runners in scoring position. That's much better than they did earlier in the year. And tonight, 7 out of 12, says Tom Boschenik. Strike 3 called, ends the inning. 6 complete. Cleveland 7, Boston 2. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. (7-2), the Indians lead it. 7th inning, and Josh Tomlin still rolling. Strike called.
Paints that outside corner. Remember, with 2 strikes last time, Shaw ended up going the other way to left field, beating the shift that they put on him. Josh has had 10 0-2 1-2 counts today.
And there's another strikeout, number 5. Tomlin struck out the first batter of the game and then didn't register another strikeout until the 5th.
This will be our Circle K strikeout. You look at Josh on the year, that's his 5th today. Good pitch, he got him up and away. The only time, as I mentioned, he didn't have a strikeout in his last start. But every other time he has had at least 5 from his very first start. So that one start in Kansas City, a strange one for Josh.
Missed inside. Down on the dirt. Castillo twice has grounded out tonight. The 2-2 is a little bit low, and Gomes couldn't get a glove on it. So the count is full. And he ends up walking his second batter of the night. So in 65 2/3 innings, Tomlin has walked 8 batters. Brock Holt 0 for 2. Last time up, Tomlin made him look bad. Fouls the first pitch off. Holt, a good player who truly has solid versatility.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can just you plug him in anywhere.
50 starts at second base.
Yeah, when Pedroia was hurt.
This is his 23rd start at third. 20 in right, 8 in left, 7 at short, only 5 at first. I thought he played more there this year. 2 in center field.
Well, not since Shaw came. Shaw's been the guy over there. He's done a nice job for him. But earlier in the year, Holt played there a few times.
Tomlin keeping a close eye on Castillo. By a diving Johnson, and in the left field, a base hit. 2 on with 1 out. Blake Swihart coming up.
He waited late on that ball, and there he goes. He gets the base hit.
And out comes Terry Francona. And that's going to be it for Josh Tomlin. Tomlin goes 6 1/3. Gives up 2 runs on 5 hits. Walked 2, struck out 5. He'll be responsible for the 2 on base. But he's in line for the win. Looking to go 7-2 on the year to finish things out. Jeff Manship will be the new pitcher when we come back. Well, as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Josh Tomlin went 6 in the third. And was very much like the Josh Tomlin we've seen almost every time out this year.
Oh, yeah. They can put it in play, command the baseball. He did walk 2. He struck out 5.
7 out of his 10 starts this year, Rick, he's gone at least 6 innings.
Yeah, that's all you can ask. Giving up 5 hits. So with first and second, Terry Francona makes the move.
Blake Swihart will be the batter, 1 for 2 on the night. Double play ball. Lindor steps on the bag, goes to first. How do you like that?
How was that?
1 pitch ends the inning. Stretch time at Progressive Field, brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care, is coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Alan Jensen will have the highlights and break it down and analyze things for you. Bottom of the 7th inning. Jonathan Aro facing Chris Johnson, gets a strike. Johnson, an RBI single in the 3rd, singled and scored in the 5th.
Pretty good pitch right there. Tough one to lay off, but a bit outside.
Upstairs, and it's 3-1. Full count. And he takes a called 3rd strike with an off-speed pitch, and that's 4 straight strikeouts for Aro.
It sure is. He walked the leadoff man last hitter, and then
our great clip of the game comes from August the 11th. Michael Brantley with a walk-off game winner in the 16th inning against the New York Yankees.
That was our longest game of the year, I'm sure. 16 innings.
I think, is that the only extra inning game at home this year?
Well, we've had 9 on the year.
Yep.
That was it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, made it worth its while then. 16 innings.
I'm trying to remember that game because the Yankees scored 2 in the 10th to take the lead, and then the Indians scored 2 in the bottom of the 10th to tie it. And then we played all the way to the 16th before Brantley won it.
Okay.
That's hit hard to deep right field. Bradley back. Goodbye.
Wow.
Now there's a case where he hit that ball hard, but I think the wind gets that slingshot effect to right field, and it just blew it out of here.
There is no doubt that ball got out in a hurry. Now you have to hit it hard, but it took off, and man, that was over the head of Bradley in no time. That was a line drive homer for Sands. Solo shot, his 4th. Ooh, that was a breaking ball that he stayed back on. Watch the top hand get this one. Boy, that just took off out of there. Look at it shoot out. First home run of the night for the Indians.
(8-2) Cleveland. And Almonte takes the ball up high. One ball, one strike. One out here in the 7th, and the Indians in command 8-2. It's way outside. 2 balls and a strike. Now Monte draws a walk.
It's Arrow's 2nd walk.
And here comes Carl Willis, the pitching coach. Red Sox have a right-hander up in the pen.
Well, this is his 3rd inning of relief. Carl's been out there about 4 times tonight already. Well, you want to come out and be here tomorrow. It's Fan Appreciation Night at the ballpark, and the evening will feature Sugardale Dollar Dogs, fireworks, and giveaways as the Indians want to thank their fans for their support this year. Visit Indians.com for the tickets.
Roman Mendez is the right-hander getting loose for Boston. Lonnie Chisenhall's 2nd at bat of the night. He flied to left his only time up in the 5th. Came on as a pinch hitter when the Red Sox went to their bullpen for Aro. So he's gone through the lineup 1 turn and given up just the home run to Jerry Sands while walking a couple and striking out 4. 2 down. Up comes Jose Ramirez with 2 down in the inning. And Jose, 1 out of 3 tonight. He walked and scored in the 3rd. A little bit outside, ball 1. Twins and Royals, they're tied 1-1 in the 5th at Target Field. Minnesota tied with the Angels, a game back of Houston in the wild card race going into tonight. Houston will be in action in a few moments out in Arizona. Angels tied with the Rangers 1-1 there in the 5th in Texas. 7 complete thanks to the Jerry Sands homer. The Indians lead is now 8-2.
And may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
Indians lead the Red Sox 8-2. We're in the 8th inning. Jackie Bradley, Mookie Betts, and Dustin Pedroia due up for the Red Sox.
I don't think Manship could have been any more efficient coming on. First and second, one out, one pitch, got the ground ball double play to get out of the inning.
Lickety split quick.
No question.
Jackie Bradley hit into a double play back in the 3rd. He popped up on the infield his last time up. Hit him on the foot. And Bradley is aboard to start the 8th inning for Boston.
You talk about the back foot.
Yeah.
Tonight's not the night you want to get hit on that back foot. That slider went down and then he couldn't get it out of the way. So, you know, it never feels good. But tonight maybe a little more sting to it with the chill in the air. I'm thinking that we're just thankful that the lake's not down to about 35 like it is when it's in April. Or it'd be a lot colder.
Oh, yeah. Mookie Betts is 0 for 3 tonight. He has struck out, grounded out, flied out. He has reached base in each of his last 34 games. It's the second longest active streak behind Joey Votto of the Reds.
Yeah, Votto's, I think, one game behind tying Pete Rose.
Yeah, Votto's at 47 going into tonight. And the Reds are tied 4-4 in Pittsburgh as Cincinnati tries to avoid their 13th consecutive loss. And Mike Pacta says Joey Votto did get a hit in that game, so he has reached in 48 straight now.
Oh, all right.
That's going to make its way to the seats.
Got a couple of belated birthdays I'd like to send along. I'd like to wish Frank Kobeck Jr. turning 95 today. Happy birthday. Also Dorothy Dozier, 86. Happy birthday to you as well.
Happy belateds.
Sorry it took so long. The wind was blowing everything out here all over the booth.
Just missed with that slider in a 3-1 count. Well, there's Mookie Betts keeping his streak alive.
Yes, he did.
35 straight he's reached base, and the first 2 are aboard for Boston. Fox Sports 1 will continue to be your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama. It all begins October the 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Dustin Pedroia 0 for 3 on the night. Takes a strike. Down in the dirt. 1-1. Pedroia takes. It's a strike in the count 1-2. Out of play to the right. Hold on tight.
Oh, no kidding. I don't know how it gets in here and it just starts throwing things everywhere.
It swirls.
It certainly does. Manship wants a new baseball.
Just threw his bat at it, did Pedroia, and pops it up. Ramirez grabs it 1 away.
Well, it's certainly never too early to think spring, especially tonight. And you can make your 2016 spring training travel plans right now. The Indians have the perfect travel package to fit your schedule. Plus, you enter now and you can win a trip to the desert, Visit Indians.com. Get to Goodyear for all the contest details. I'd take a trip out to Arizona right about now.
It's almost 40 degrees warmer in Phoenix right now than it is here.
How many?
It's almost 40 degrees warmer
Is that
there.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's 53 here. It's 91 there.
Good. I'll take that trip tonight. Good
Strike
slider.
Over the outside edge. That's still too warm to have the roof open out in Arizona for the Diamondbacks game tonight?
No, I don't think so. It's sort of nice at nighttime. Be interesting to see if they have it open.
They should be underway now.
That's to me, I think it would be perfect. You know, it's no different than going down to Texas.
Yeah.
You know, playing in that heat. But when the sun goes down, it's sort of nice.
Houston's already on the board, 1-0 over Arizona. They're batting in the top of the first.
Okay. So Altuve, he may be doing something early in that game.
Strike called, and Bogarts doesn't like it. He thought it was low, and it looked like he might have had a legitimate argument. Now the 2-2. Swung on and missed. And he strikes him out. 2 down.
First strikeout for Manship, and he gets him on a very good slider away. This is a good hitter now. There's that slider, comes straight down. He gets the swing and miss, just what he needed.
Going to get a pinch hitter now as Devin Marrero hits for David Ortiz. Takes a strike. Big Chris Carter just knocked in 2 runs, and it's 3-0
Oh,
Houston.
boy.
Still in the first.
And Keuchel has yet to go out and toe the rubber.
Yep.
Very nice.
Well, Chris Sale made history tonight for the Chicago White Sox.
He broke the record?
Broke a record that had stood for over 100 years.
How many?
He got to 270. Big Ed Walsh struck out 269 in 1908.
Wow. Good for him. 270 better. That's a boatload, huh?
Now, I don't know. He might still be going, but that's...
And that was against the Tigers. They're in the 7th inning, a 2-1 ball game.
Let's see what the...
Boy, 270. Wow.
Let's see what Sale ended up with here. Struck out 7 in all, so he needed 3 to tie it, so 274, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds right.
Did he go? No. David Rackley said he held up.
That's the only one that was been able to check that way tonight. And he's been right on every count. David Rackley said he checked. He did.
Swung on and missed. He strikes him out. Back-to-back Ks for Manship, and the Red Sox strand a pair. By Wayside Furniture, Tomlin command and feel, and he was very good once again here tonight in his season finale. And when the Indians score 4 or more, for the starter when he's in the game, they're 48-2.
Let's make it 49, huh? They need three more outs.
Roman Mendez coming on now to pitch for Boston. Mendez was signed as basically was claimed off waivers earlier on September 11th. So last month they picked him up off the waiver wire from Texas. He was originally signed by the originally signed by the Red Sox. He went to Texas from Boston in the deal for Jared Saltalamacchia.
Okay.
And so now they get him back in a roundabout sort of way. Lindor, first ball swing, sends it to center field. 1 down. Jesus Aguilar is going to get an at-bat for Ryan Rayburn here. Rayburn was 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. Marrero is now at shortstop. And Josh Rutledge has come on for Pedroia at second base. In the dirt. By the way, Toronto is beating Tampa 8-4 in the 8th. So the Royals need a win to keep pace with the Blue Jays because they can't finish tied with them.
Right.
Or the Blue Jays get home field advantage.
The tiebreaker goes to Toronto. That's Mark Burley looking for win number 15 tonight. And again, they only get him 8.
Aguilar looks like he's got extra bases down into the left field corner. And he'll glide into second base with a 1-out double.
Kept this one fair down the line.
Our Pat O'Brien Chevrolet play of the game back in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded. Carlos Santana unloads them with a 3-run double.
In a hurry, second straight hit off the starter Henry Owens. Gives him 84 RBIs on the season. And that ties Michael Brantley for the team lead.
Carlos Santana. Missed outside with it. Two and 0. Good off-speed pitch. Kind of floated it in there.
He sure did. 80 miles an hour. Floats right in there for a strike.
Threw it by him. You know, it's taken Mendez a while to get his traction at the big league level. He's 25 years old and never got to the big leagues until a season ago. But he had surgery in back-to-back seasons. The same surgery. He had a stress fracture in his right elbow. So he had surgery in 2012 and then missed most of 2013. So that's a lot of time to miss and try to get yourself back on track. But obviously he's got a good arm, and if he can stay healthy, could be an option for Boston as they look to put their team together for next year.
Well, that's, what you're talking about is pretty much what happened to Josh Tomlin, huh? Where he had to have back-to-back surgery, had the shoulder and then the elbow, then the shoulder. A lot of time rehabbing.
Just missed outside. 95 miles an hour. So you can see he's got mid-90s fastball, 85-mile-an-hour breaking ball.
And he threw that one that floated into at 80 miles an hour. Not sure what that pitch was. Haven't seen him before, but you would think fastball here, wouldn't you? Full count.
He went with a low dart.
That was a dart, too, moving away. Stay alive.
And that's ball 4. So a double and a walk after a fly ball out, and it brings up Yan Gomes. All right, here we go. So for Mendez, according to the report here, fastball, slider, changeup are the primary pitches.
Okay, so that changeup must have been the 80 miles an hour. It was a good one.
Gets one on the ground, could be two. There's one on the first. Close. Double play. Inning over. We'll go to the ninth. 8-2 Cleveland.
St. Louis, I'm Al Pulowski. We are your hosts for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. That is coming up right after this one. And Jensen, tonight, how about Josh Tomlin? Great start to finish out his season.
Yep, solidifies his chances for next year to be in this rotation. And how about David Ortiz in a little stare? You think Minnesota been upset?
Yeah, that's something we're going to have to talk about coming up on the postgame.
Wonder what Archie thinks.
Oh, I wonder, too. Well, let's find out.
That?
Matt and Rick, take it away.
All right, thanks, guys. I didn't catch that.
The Ortiz stare after the home run.
Oh, yeah, he did a little post, yeah.
Well, when he hit it, yeah, no doubt. He's done that his whole life.
He's done it his whole career, yeah.
I know it.
When you hit over 500 on him, I guess you get a little pass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I guess you're allowed to do that now.
Kyle Crockett coming on to pitch tonight. And Travis Shaw bangs one off his foot, 1 for 3 on the night. Bounced in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he lifts one down the line. That's going to make the seats. Now the 1-2 to Shaw. And he squibs it towards short where Chris Johnson throws him out with the shift on. 1 away. Rusney Castillo 0 for 2 with a walk. And Castillo to right field, a nice running catch by Lonnie Chisenhall for out number 2.
Well, he goes the other way, and Chisenhall got a nice jump on the ball, comes running right through it. Picks it out number 2.
And Brock Holt, the batter now for the Red Sox. And a fastball strike from Crockett. Crockett, 2 quick strikes on Holt. Now the left-hander will try to finish it off. No, he would not chase there. And he fouls this one back. Struck him out looking, and that'll do it. Brock Holt barks at home plate umpire Marvin Hudson, but to no avail. The Indians all over the Red Sox tonight as they win it by a final score of 8-2. Josh Tomlin gets the win, finishes his season with a mark of 7-2. The Indians get to within a game of 500 at 79-80 with 2 to play. Boston goes to 78-82 on the year. The loss is Henry Owens. He goes to 4-4 to finish his rookie campaign for Boston.
Yeah, that's a way to end it. Josh Tomlin came back 10 stars, did a whale of a job. Again, 5 strikeouts, took him into the 7th inning one more time, and his friends supported him well today. So a good all-around game.
Yeah, lots of offense for the Indians tonight. As the Indians roll 8-2 the final, we have some final thoughts right after this.